every child has a right in this country, even the one who doesn't have a parent. So we have many bursaries, some of it, in fact, even the Abed schools that we are talking about, some of them you'll find them using our own children to say that now, and especially during the time of the late His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, I think Kenya would have wished, and we still wish, to see completely free education for both primary and secondary. Madam Speaker, we are now in a new dispensation. We are entering into CBC. Each honorable member would want to see now our children having dignity as they go to their junior secondary, as we move to the new system. And Madam Speaker, as much as this is critical for us, I know the biggest challenge, and honorable members will say here, is that the problem is not about putting the bursary together so that you have a comprehensive bursary scheme. The challenge we face, Madam Speaker, and this is not just about CDF, it's about when you look at all the stakeholders that play a key role in the education system of Kenya. That is Equity Bank, that is KCB, that is every person who comes in to support. You will always find yourself in challenges of how come we are supporting so much and we still have many young children yearning to be supported. Some are still, even to date, you'll find a few of them who have not even joined high school because of bursary. Somewhere in the corner of Kenya, if you check, Madam Speaker, you will find a bright child who is yearning to go to school, but up to date has not gotten that support. And so, Madam Speaker, as I support this, what I want the government to do, and this is something that has to come before we even think of the scheme, Madam Speaker, is that every child in this country, let them have a NEMIS number. Let us get to know the capitation of each child so that we are able to know how many children are we talking about. Do not discriminate children because others are in Abed schools and others are in public schools. All of them are Kenyans. And one of the things as members of parliament we should be thinking is how do we ensure, even as we support bursary, as we support all this, that every child can find a uniform, because most of them, why they don't go to public schools, you find the parent telling you, this child is unable to afford uniform, this child is unable to afford the books they are being asked, this child is unable to afford the 6,000 or 5,000 they are being requested to pay. So for me, Madam, Mr. Speaker, is that indeed we need to have a way of having free education in this country, but let us do it in the right way. Mr. Speaker, you remember to date, we are still fighting the Ministry of Education with capitation. And I think the biggest challenge we face is not about how the bursary is being given or how about anything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the challenge we face is we have people who have lived in Joho for a while now, and they will tell you how they are doing things, yet part of them are the biggest problem we are facing, Mr. Speaker. So if you have been in a system for 30 years, why is it that we cannot make it right for our children in this country? And Mr. Speaker, we have to be very clear that indeed every child has a right in this country, even the one who doesn't have a parent. So we have many bursaries, some of it, in fact, even the Abed schools that we are talking about, some of them you'll find them using our own children to say that now you will find sponsors coming in. But you don't care how the child is going to move to high school. That is the time the child is left, Mr. Speaker. So if we are doing this junior secondary, we must change the system of this country on how we look at things, Mr. Speaker. That indeed, I saw the other day, Kupet now. You see, when you find ourselves, Mr. Speaker, fighting that Kupet must be somewhere so that they continue having numbers of union, and the children themselves, when they close school, they don't even have food. Those are the things this House should not allow. We are not here to make our children and teachers to be unions. We are here to see a country that standardizes, that makes it pure, that education is the only merit a child can have to sit on a table with any other child, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, while I support my leader, Esther Passaris, and to wish her that this indeed is needed, but we have to do it in the right way. Before we do anything on this, let every child have, now they are moving it from NEMIS to chemist. So let every child have a chemist number. In January, let this matter of birth certificates be stopped completely. The same way we are trying to give Form 4s the IDs in school. Let the Ministry of Migration that deals with the identification of birth certificates, death certificates, go and sit in every school to ensure every child has a birth certificate. You find that, Mr. Speaker, today capitation, you find I have a school, 3,600 children. Only 200 have NEMIS numbers. So where does that capitation, after we've given the ministry all this money, go? And yet you are saying you have 3,000 children in this school, 5,000 children in this school. Where does the money go? So let every child in this country be counted for, so that we itemize the budget here and say, we are now giving capitation of 1 or 2 million children. We know this is the amount they are taking, and this will support, will be better for the education system. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, the other thing I need the ministry to do now is to ensure to tell us, we have teachers who have gone, and most of them are in arts subjects, humanities. How do we support these teachers to go back for a refresher, so that they go, those who want to teach science can now go and teach science, and so that we get more science teachers, because I understand we don't even have. So if we don't even have, and CBC is science, how are we moving on, Mr. Speaker? While we celebrate, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank everyone, that indeed the education system that we are going in, let us start at the right slate. Let us not do the mistakes we have done, that I have seen so many mistakes in this last system, where books, a number of books you can't understand. Parents today, they wake up today, they are supposed to do this. And also, Mr. Speaker, why can't we look in our secondaries? Because I can see many secondaries saying, oh, we have lacked fees, parents are crying. But there is that standard of school fees. Every child is able to pay. And if a school is able to run with that amount, Mr. Speaker, why is it that you'll force a school to have school fees 25,000, yet you know very well most parents are paying 16,000? Why can the ministry look at that and standardize where you know parents are able to pay, so that schools do not have pending, yet they are able to move until they... So you even wonder, is it viable? What is viable is what we need to use, Mr. Speaker. What is viable? And this is something the ministry should help us. Another thing that the ministry should look at, you cannot tell me where, for example, in Nairobi, so I have, yes, 24 schools, but nearly how many students are there? Beyond 40,000, 50,000. So you can't tell me, because I have those, you now start giving me a capitation of building classrooms because of the numbers of school I have. It is wrong. You should be looking at the numbers of students I have. And this is one thing we should be pushing. And I understand we have 6,500 schools with less than 100 students. I mean, honestly, honorable members, even us, we should question ourselves. We did wrong to build more schools, yet we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough students, and yet you have spent money, and now you are supposed to ensure this school is sustainable. So, Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I want to really thank the Americans for voting in Trump to finish the culture of what our children have been crying for, a culture that is not our culture, and now America has awakened itself. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Charles Nguna, I want to recognize the students at the Speaker's Gallery, but why are you so excited? You keep